Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. This is part 6 of my top 100 comics in my collection. And this one should be special because it's books that are around that $2,000 to $2,400 mark. And there are some really great books in here that you might not realize are pretty affordable for what they are. But these are still big books, but they're still fairly affordable. And the first one that's on the list is one that actually had kind of gone up and has kind of faded a bit back. This one I actually see as a really great spec still, but it was one of those books that was really hyped during the Spider-Man No Way Home movie. And it's the Spider-Man Annual #1. This is the first appearance of the Sinister Six. And we sort of got the Sinister Six in the Amazing Spider-Man movie. Sort of. They weren't quite the team that we saw, in this book, but we had some of the major characters. We had Sandman, we had Electro, and we had the Vulture kind of was there, like not really. And then we had Doc Ock. Craven was still not there. And Mysterio wasn't there either. So it's still a major key for Spider-Man. It is the first annual, and it is the first team appearance of the Sinister Six. And it's one of the books that was one of my first major grails for Spider-Man, actually. So this book is from 1964. It sells for, in this grade, it's a 3.0. In this grade, it sells for about $21.50. And there's about, how many are these on the census? There's about 2,500 copies of this book on the census in all grades. And that includes restored and signed and all that kind of stuff. So it's a fairly rare book for the Silver Age. Usually, if it's a more popular book in terms of like frequency that you see it on the census, it would be around that 5,000 mark. So to be around that 2,000 mark is considered fairly scarce for the Silver Age. But still, there's still 2,000 copies. that's a fair number. Okay, the next book will give you a sense of what things can be, how scarce books can be. This one is a fairly scarce book, and it's a great one. It's a Strange Suspense Stories, number 19. And it is a Steve Ditko cover, and it's considered one of these great Golden Age horror, pre-code horror books because of the cover. It is an electrocution cover. It's one of those covers that is sought after by collectors. And you'll notice that certain books in the Golden Age, this is a Golden Age book, they're key covers. There's these key covers. So, for example, I got another book from the same series. I paid $100 for it, and it's in a similar grade. So, it's all about key covers, and this is one of those key covers. So it's a Steve Ditko, great cover, from 1954 from Charlton Comics, and this normally sells for around $21.50 as well. So another $21.50 book. You can actually get this book. I've seen it priced higher, and I've seen it priced lower than that. So it's one of those ones that it's pretty scarce. So it's one of those hit or miss ones in terms of getting it for that kind of fair market value price. This one actually would have been a much higher grade, but it has like the typical chipping that happened with a lot of these older books. So this one, there's only 46 on the census, so it's a pretty rare book. And usually for the Golden Age, the numbers are like a more common book would be around 200. So Silver Age is like 5,000. Like Golden Age is more like 200. So yes, this one's pretty rare. It's around 44 on the census, and that's all grades. This would be considered a mid-grade for this book. Okay, next one, and this is part of a theme that you'll notice in this collection of books. And this is my 50 8th book on my list, or no, 48th book on my list, is Fantastic Four number 3. Now, this is a book that I actually really wanted. A lot of people were chasing after other books within the Fantastic Four run, but I actually wanted this one maybe more than some of the other ones. And the reason being, this is the first time you see the Fantastic Four in their Fantastic Four suits. Before this, they just appeared like without their costumes. This is Fantastic Four number 3. It's in a 3-0. Somebody had, on this one, the reason it's a 3-0, somebody took a chip. I don't know why. Somebody cut a little piece out and it kind of affected the grade. If it wasn't for that, it actually is a very nice copy. This one goes for about $22.50. Now, I've noticed that prices have kind of dipped a bit. So I'm pricing this based on when I originally created my list of the values. And this one has pulled back. You can probably pick this up for around $2,100, I would say. You know, if you're lucky. It's one of those ones again. There's about 1,300 of these on the census, so it's a bit more scarce on the census. So it's one of those ones, it is a major key for the Fantastic Four. It's also the first appearance of Miracle Man. And it is the first time you see like their headquarters as well. And actually, I like I read all these early Fantastic Fours, and it's really cool when they show the headquarters in this, because you actually, you know, they show the whole building like layout, and you see what, oh, this is where they do the science experiments, and you know, they explain all their different rooms, and it's kind of cool. I like that. I like that kind of detail. So yeah, so this is Fantastic Four number 3 from 1962. The next is another kind of cool book. And this one, I thought this was my go-to book when I couldn't get the one that is the bigger book. So this is like, you know, oh, the next best thing. This is that book. So this is Hulk number 2, the second appearance of the Hulk. But the reason I saw it as kind of that go-to book is it's the first time that Hulk is green, and we always associate green with the Hulk. He's a green guy, you know. In the original Hulk, Hulk number 1, he is gray. So it's kind of cool that this, you know, that this was affordable at the time. You know, Hulk 1 was always out of my reach, and then I ended up picking up later, but this one at least I could afford. I think I paid like $700 for it at the time. But this one has gone up since. So this is Incredible Hulk number 2 from 1962. It is the first appearance of the Green Hulk, and it is the second appearance of the Hulk. I'm not sure if there's any other. Yeah, the first appearance of the Toadman too. So these guys down here, their first appearance. And this one is fairly rare on the census. There's about 1,096 of these on the census, so it's getting a little bit more rare. The next book is an interesting one. Oh, and that sells for, just so for those people that really want to know the prices, Hulk 2 sells for, in a 1.5, that's a pretty low grade, sells for about $2,300. And actually, that was when I did my list. From what I can see, the GPA and Go Collect price has actually risen a bit. So they're actually estimating around $2,450 for a 1.5 of Hulk 2. So I'm still going with that 2,300 mark. Okay, so the next one on my list is a really great one. This is one I really wanted in my collection. It's Police Comics number 11. And this is the first appearance of the Spirit. So I think we see the Spirit right here. Right here. So right here. There's so many guys with hats. So I was looking for it. Okay, so the Spirit right there. It's a creation by Will Eisner. And the Spirit is one of these kind of cool characters. They actually made a Spirit movie. And it's kind of one of those characters that is very much associated to the golden age of comics. and one that has sort of a cult following to it, I would say. So yeah, so this is a restored or conserved grade, actually conserved grade. And when you see a conserved grade, usually it doesn't mean that it's like how to say it. It's not like a restoration. It's a professional restoration. So generally a conserved grade, you can actually remove all of that restoration that is done. Like a lot of the conservation is done to protect the book and keep it alive, like so it doesn't fall apart. And so what ends up happening is with conservation compared to restoration, it is easier to remove anything that has been added to the book. The level of restoration that's done in a conserved grade is much more professional. It is the highest level of professional restoration, and that's really what distinguishes the different tiers of restoration. So there's A1, B1, and C, and then there's conserved grade as that professional level, extremely professional level, where all of it can be restored, unrestored, I should say. Conservation includes cover reinforced, so it is the most minor level of conservation, and it's basically that the cover is being reinforced so it doesn't fall apart. So this is a conserved grade, and it is the first book appearance of The Spirit by Will Eisner, and it's a Gill Fox cover. So you got Plastic Man and this giant guy. It's kind of cool. And this one is extremely rare. This is actually the rarest book I'll be showing in this video. There's only 26 in any grade on the census. Now, typically, this is one of those ones where it's really hard to price. I'm pricing it based on how much I paid. And that's all I can say, because it's one of those ones where you might not see it for another 3 or 4 years on the for sale, because there's only 26 copies, and the Spirit is a pretty important character. So I paid $2,350 for it. So so I'm valuing it based on that. Yeah, so just a really great comic, and there's, as I said, 26 on the census, so pretty rare. Okay, the next book on my list is this one. Another restored book, but this one is truly restored, not conserved, and it has extensive restoration, which really kills the value. So there's, as I said, there's different levels of restoration, and I'll show you the book. This is Adventure Comics 61. And as I was saying, there's different levels of restoration. There's slight, moderate, and excessive. This is in that excessive frame. So what was the restoration? It was pieces added, glue, tear seals, reinforced, right edge trimmed, centerfold married. So this book is a Frankenstein. Like it's been played with. And when you get in the Golden Age, there's a lot more restored books. Generally, restoration compared to Silver Age doesn't impact the value of the book as much, but still it does definitely impact the value. So typically, when it's excessive like this, you're looking, but because it's a low grade, you're looking about 60% of the value. So 40 to 60. It's like maybe, so what I did is I took the kind of average and I said it's about 50% of the value. So basically half off. So this book is a really rare one as well. There's only 59 of these on the census. It is the first appearance of Starman. So you got him on the cover too, which is a really great thing. For the Golden Age, that's a big deal to have that character on the cover. Starman, there's the Stargirl series, and Starman appeared in the Stargirl series. He was the father, well, not the father, but he's the one that kind of was in the very first episode that passed on the rod, that gives them the power. So So yeah, so Starman is just a really cool character. I like Golden Age characters. I think there's some kind of charm to them. But yeah, so it's the first appearance of Starman Ted Knight, and there's also an ad for World's Best Comics #1. And it's what else is there cool about this book? I'm just reading it. Jack Burnley cover. So I'm not as familiar with that artist, but yeah, just kind of a cool book. And this is from 1941. So pretty early Golden Age book. Okay. So that sells for around $2,400. So the next few are all in that they're all $2,400. So I can pick any one of these and they're all $2,400 for the next few. The next one is a high grade one. This is one of the higher grade ones that I have from the Golden Age. It's rare for me to get high grade books, but it was a book that I really wanted. And, sometimes you get what's available. So it was weird though. I actually got this from my comic shop, and I set up a payment plan where, I was paying like a small amount each month to get the book. And strangely, at the very same time, a cheaper low grade came up for auction, and it sold really cheaply. Well, not really cheaply, still expensive, but much cheaper. I was like, oh man, I wish I could have gotten the lower grade one just to save some money. But I ended up getting this really nice high grade one. So I can't complain. I really like this book. It's Boy Commandos #1. And this is one of the highest graded ones on the census. It's not the highest. There are like 9. There were ones in the 9s. But this is from 1942. It is the first appearance of Liberty Bell. And it's also the first appearance of Sandman, Newsboy Legion, and it is Jack Kirby and Joe Simon appearance. Classic war cover. Okay, so that's what the notes say. So yes, this is Jack Kirby and Don Cameron's story, and Chuck Winter art. So kind of a cool book. Who did the cover? Oh, Jack Kirby and Joe Simon did the cover. So kind of cool. Some pretty major people involved with the creation of this book. And this is a war book where they really were kind of preparing, like, these boy commandos. I really, I heard stories that what they were trying to do is really prepare a book to encourage the youth of America to prepare for World War II. So that's what this book was all about. So there's a lot of really great covers for the early boy commandos when they're in that war era. And this is, one of the first. So, yeah, a really great book. And this is a pretty rare book as well. There is 100 exactly on the census in any grade, and that includes restored books. So, and it goes for, as I said, about 2,400. Now the next book, and I was saying that there was a theme in this video, and the theme is Fantastic Four. So there's a few books that are, I'm going to sneeze. I'm trying not to sneeze. We'll see. You might get an extra bonus me sneezing on in this video. Let's see if I sneeze or not. Okay, so Fantastic Four #2. So this is like the second appearance of the Fantastic Four, but it's also the first appearance of the Skrulls. So a pretty major book. And this one is kind of has like a balancing act going on with it, because it is restored. It is a restored book. And it has off-white to white pages. It is a slight, restoration. Let me read what the restoration. Cover reinforced, tear seals to cover with glue. Right edge trimmed. So this is one of those restorations you cannot unrestore. You can't untrim a page. So it is restored, and that really does dramatically impact the price. However, because it's a low grade, generally it impacts you probably get about a 30% discount on the price. So what I did was I took the price of a signed, like there are other signed Fantastic Fours. So I was able to find out what a Fantastic Four signed copy generally goes for. And in a 4.0, it generally goes for about 3,800. So I took about like a little bit less than 70% of that. And I figured the value of this book is around $2,400. But it's signed by Stan Lee, which is kind of cool. It says, I'll actually read it. Stan Lee signed it on the first page. And what I actually want to tell people about this. So back in the day, before people got books slabbed, what you would do is you really didn't want to interfere with the art on the cover. So what you do is you'd go and say, okay, I really want that signature, but I don't want it to interfere with the art. So what you do is you get it signed on the interior, on that interior where it doesn't really matter and nobody's going to see it, but you can show it if you want to show it. So later on people got things slabbed, and now we want all the signatures on the front. But back in the day, people didn't like that. I personally grew up that style. I actually had so many opportunities to get some big books and big signatures, and I actually didn't really want that because I didn't really like the idea of somebody writing all over my book. I've kind of warmed up to it since. So now I actually like the signature on the front because, as I said, it does display kind of cool. So, but back in the day, people would get the first page signed. So yeah, so this is just a really great book. Marvel 1962 book. And what does it say? It says, second appearance of the Fantastic Four, first appearance of the Skrulls, last 10-cent issue. So this was a bargain because the next issue was 12 cents. So that's kind of cool. And there's, how many of those on the census? There's 1,400 of those on the census. Okay, the next book is another Fantastic Four. So it's a very Fantastic Four theme going on here. And this is a pretty major one. And this one has been really hot. I was super excited when I got it. And like it just heated up so much after that. I was like, wow. I felt like I really dodged a bullet in terms of getting it when I did, because this book got super hot after after I bought it. Which I was like super happy about because I got it for a good price in the end. I paid about half of what the fair market value is. I paid about $1,200. Now it's like a $2,400 book. So this one is kind of interesting. This is this is actually a slight pedigree, and I kind of want to explain that. So pedigree books are books that come from like a prestigious collection. Usually they're in high grade. So for example, the Promise collection is like a series of books that were kept in pristine condition, usually 8 and higher in terms of the grades. There are a few that were in the 6 I saw, but most of the books in the Promise collection are in the 9s, actually, the very high golden age books. So those kind of premier collections, like where it was the original owner and they bought those books, and those have that gold label, the dark gold label, and those are considered to be pedigree collections. Well, they also have collections like where it's denoted, but it's not quite a pedigree. It's like from Nicolas Cage collection or something like that. Well, this book is from a kind of a cool collection as well. This is from the collection of Kevin Michael McFadden. And I'm not sure who that is, but it's somebody, somebody worthy of noting. It's probably some actor or something. You can comment in the, comments below if you know who Kevin Michael McFadden is. I should really Google him. Yeah, so that's the thing. So this book is one you probably wonder, why has it gone up so much in value? Well, it is the first Silver Age appearance of Submariner. And what else? Does it say anything else? First Silver Age appearance of the Submariner, Namor, and Mr. Fantastic pinup. So that's kind of cool. And in a 1/8, it goes for about $2,400. So kind of cool, kind of fun book. I like one of the things that people don't realize about Fantastic Four and Namor is there is like a bizarre love triangle going on, that he's kind of trying to always kind of get with Sue Storm, and it's like a little bit of a love triangle thing going on. So it's always kind of cool, and I just think it's funny that he's the one that's holding her on the cover. So that's kind of cool. So a little extra note there, and it's the first 12-cent Fantastic Four. Or no, it isn't. Actually, number 3 is. Oh well. Oh well. That was not useful. Okay, that was number 42 on my list. The number 41 on my list in terms of my most expensive comics. And this is another one where it's really hard to say what the current market value is. I can just basically go by what I paid, and I had to pay up for this book. It is one of those books you don't see often. It's a very cool appearance, and it's from a series of books that are rarely rare and just happen to have lots of major appearances in them. So this is More Fun Comics 101, and you got Speedy and the Green Arrow on the cover, but it's not their first appearance. It is the first appearance of Superboy. And this is a book that is really, really scarce. It's just a hard book to find. They say that there's 83 or 53, no, 83 of these on the census, but it's just it's not a book that you see very often. So when you see it, you gotta kind of pay up for it. It's kind of annoying, but that's the way it is. It's a book that's hard to get. So More Fun Comics number 101. And this is as I said, the first appearance of Superboy. It was 2 issues later that he made his first cover appearance, and that's in issue 103, which if you look that way, yeah, that way, you can see it up there where he's kind of doing this like vendor stand. I don't know why, but so yeah, but this is just a kind of cool Golden Age book. It's cool to get that first appearance, and this was typical of the Golden Age, where you didn't see the character on the cover for their appearance. But they didn't even put his name on the cover. That's they didn't. I guess the way the story was written, it's actually kind of interesting for Superboy. The way that they wrote it was, it was almost like they were trying to make it sound like it was like, due to reader response, we wanted to answer readers' questions with this story. And basically, I guess the readers had asked, what was Superman like as a boy? And so they wrote the Superboy story, where they showed Clark Kent and his bit of his childhood and gave a little bit more sense of him as a youth. And it was kind of interesting. It was very, it's kind of an interesting story. So More Fun Comics 101 from 1945. It goes for about $2,400. So that has been part 6. Now we're getting into bigger and bigger books. The prices kind of become a little bit more scattered because as I get closer to that top 10, the prices get a lot higher. So I hope you enjoy these videos. Please check out the others in the series. I actually created a playlist. You can look for the playlist. And I recommend you watch them all because I try to give some insights into the books. And I hope you enjoy these videos. Please leave a comment, like, all that kind of stuff in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks again. Bye.